everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I've gotten a lot of questions recently regarding offshore fishing. Offshore fishing is one of those things that no matter what time of year it is, you can find fish offshore. So I get a lot of questions regarding offshore fishing, and recently a lot of them have been geared towards what baits I like to use. And this is one of those questions that there's so many good offshore baits. I actually find myself anytime I'm fishing an offshore tournament, meaning where my whole game plan is based on offshore fishing, I have way more rods rigged up for fishing deep than I do if I'm fishing shallow. It's just a matter of there being so many great baits that you can use anytime you're fishing deep. But I've got a handful here that are the ones that no matter what tournament it is, no matter where I'm at in the country, these hold up really well. So I want to go over each of these. Before I do, I want to remind you guys that if you're looking to support the channel, please use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link. Also, if you're looking to get a little bit more one-on-one contact with me, check out the virtual lessons that I do where we can have a 1-hour Zoom call. That's all set up through fishthemoment.com. I will put the description or the link for the virtual lessons as well as a Tackle Warehouse affiliate link in my video description. And all of these baits, guys, you should be able to get through Tackle Warehouse. And right now, they've got big sales going on. So it'd be a good time to make the purchase. So the first bait that I'm always going to have tied on anytime I'm fishing offshore is a crankbait like this Berkeley dredger. This is the 20.5. I love the dredgers because they get down really fast. They've got a little bit of a flash boost slash weight in the front that helps it just dive straight down. So it's a really quick diving crankbait that gets down to the depths that you want it to get to. That's one issue anytime you're talking about crankbaits. They tend to come back in a half moon shape to the boat. So the quicker that you can get this down to the maximum depth, the longer the bait's going to be in the strike zone. It's all about just making sure that you can get this bait down there. Now, I will say, generally speaking, anytime I'm fishing a crankbait deep, I'm usually going to be fishing it fast. I'm trying to create reaction strikes. Generally not just slow retrieving it back to the boat. I'm usually imparting a lot of good snaps of the rod, some good fast reel handle turns mixed in. I'm trying to do things to get it to dart side to side. So I do recommend that. It's a very physical way to fish a crankbait, but it generates a lot more strikes for me anytime I'm fishing deep. If I want to slow down, instead of going with a slower moving crankbait, that's when I would pick up something like a 3/4 ounce swim bait. This is a D&E. This is one of my favorites. It's just a great bait for getting down to the bottom, and then I'll slow roll it. I don't do a whole lot of imparting action with my rod or the reel handle turn. I generally just try to keep it down towards the bottom, keep it rolling along the bottom, and that seems to generate strikes. So if I want something fast to create a lot of reaction, I go with the crankbait. If I'm trying to just keep my bait in the strike zone for a long period of time, and I think the fish are a little bit less active, that's when I'm going to go with a bigger swim bait. Along those same lines, I will throw a big, heavy chatterbait. This is an 1.25 ounce Z-Man evergreen jackhammer. This is just one of those big, heavy baits that it seeks the bottom. It's such a big, heavy bait that it's hard to keep it off the bottom, but I love throwing this down in 20 to 35 feet of water because of how heavy it is. And I'll fish this in a very erratic manner. I let it go to the bottom, and then I'm basically going to try to stroke it or burn the reel handle to get it to explode off the bottom and then drop back to the bottom. So I'm basically retrieving it, so it's going like this the whole way back. But it's a really good bait at generating big bites, and it's something that the fish don't see that much. Even though it's been out for a while, a 3/4 ounce and an 1.25 ounce jackhammer have been around for a long time. There's still not that many people that are using them. Next up, I've got the 3/4 ounce football head jig. This is a Dirty Jigs. I've got on the back Berkeley Pit Boss, one of my favorite trailers. You got to have a football jig tied on so that you can feel the bottom. If you're fishing shell beds and you want to feel the sweet spot, nothing better than a football jig. It's just a great bait to keep in the strike zone, to feel along the bottom. Maybe you got some brush piles or stumps mixed in, so you want something that's a little bit more weedless. This is a great way to go. I fish it basically in two manners, either a slow drag on the bottom, or sometimes I will actually stroke it to get it up off the bottom. Generally speaking, I'll do a slow drag and then maybe impart one or two strokes on the retrieval back to the boat. But this to me is all about searching the bottom. I want to feel the bottom. That's when I throw a big football head jig. The next one, another good bait imitating one. If I know the fish are feeding on a lot of shad or alewife or herring, I love to throw a hair jig. This is the Cumberland Pro Lures. This is the prayer jig. It's one of my favorite. I also do tie a bunch of my own. This is one that I've caught a pile of fish on. I crushed them on Kentucky Lake on this exact jig years ago. But I do really like the prayer jig by Cumberland Lures as well. The the hair jig is just a great bait. If you know there's a bunch of bait fish around and a lot of the fish are relating higher up off the bottom, that's a really good bait to throw it. I fish it in a pretty similar manner to the heavy chatterbait. I throw it out, let it go to the bottom, and then I burn the handle a bunch of times, get that bait to come up off the bottom, and, and then I just let it pendulum back to the bottom. I repeat that process. It works great. So my last one is going to be my cleanup bait. This is the Berkeley Max Scent Magnum Hitworm. I will throw this either on a shaky head or a NACO rig. I just love it. The plum is generally going to be the color that I throw. It seems like it's a great offshore color, but this is going to be my cleanup bait. So when I've gone through an area with the crankbaits or the hair jigs or the swim baits, and I want to slow down because I think there might be a few extra fish that are hanging around, that's when I grab the Magnum Hitworm out and I just slow pull this thing around, like I said, either on the NACO rig or a shaky head. And it's always good for catching one or two additional fish. So that's my setup. Those are my must-have baits. There's probably another 15 that I could go over, but if I'm fishing offshore and I know I'm going to be spending the day offshore, I'm going to have these 6 baits tied on 100% of the time. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have some baits that you like to fish offshore, put it in the comment section so the rest of the viewers can learn from you as well. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please hit the subscriber button as well as the like button. And stay tuned. We'll have a new video tomorrow for you.